It's hard these days, although in our country there is a feeling, there is a spark of a sense of some hope that's coming, or at least renewed energy, but it still feels like every time I'm reading the news, we'll see something else where there's another Chayal, particularly the news coming out of Israel and Gaza, that there was another Chayal, a reservist, a soldier who was killed in Gaza, if not one, then many more than we ever want to see, or innocent Palestinians, children and women and suffering people who are being killed or who are suffering from horrible diseases. And anytime I think about the hostages, I feel in all of these cases like my heart is on fire. That's the way I describe it. I was texting with a friend who's living in Israel, and every time it just feels like there's this blazing fire in my heart. And I don't think I'm alone in carrying this fire around as we go through the world during this dark time. And the pain feels incredibly enormous, that this fire is not necessarily the fire in which I would hope to have, but as I was reading the sources and what I feel incredibly grateful for in the times when my heart feels this way and when we feel like this darkness is around us, that's what our tradition is here for. That is what is meant to anchor us. And so as I was looking through and reading through our parsha, which is Akev, this Shabbat, we're in the book of Devarim, we're reliving Moshe's story. There's a line that sticks out, and it's actually not only in our parsha, but in the beginning of Devarim too. We see this description of God, which is and has been incredibly troubling for me for quite some time. And it's a line that describes God. And it says, Adonai Elohecha, God, your God, Eish Ochlahu. God, your God, is a consuming fire. Describes God as a consuming fire. And we actually saw this language a little bit earlier in Devarim as well, a few chapters earlier, where it says, Ki Adonai Elohecha Eish Ochlahu. So the same language, because God, your God, is this consuming fire. Hu Elkanah, that this is a God who's impassioned God, or even like a jealous God that we see in this language. And so the rabbis even use this line in another place, in another teaching that I love, when they say that we should walk in the ways of God, and then they say, wait, but isn't God some consuming fire? Like, isn't that not what we want to be doing? And they go on to do another teaching. But what do we do with this line of thinking about God as a consuming fire, and then thinking about this fire that I've been feeling in my heart? And I came across a teaching that is so stunning that I want to bring into our prayer, into our tefillah tonight. And it's a teaching from Rabbi Shlomo Dov Ber, who's a part of the Lubavitch dynasty of the Hasidic teachers and of the Chabad movement. And he was living in the late 1800s into the early 1900s. And he read the line from our parsha this week, the Ki Adonai Elohecha Eish Ochlahu, that God is this consuming fire, God, your God, is a consuming fire, and said, godliness is a blazing flame. Godliness is a blazing flame. Torah study and prayer require a flaming heart. Torah study and prayer require a flaming heart. We even just sang as we were praying, Mizmor LeDavid has a line that talks about God's voice as this flame of fire that we have here, that we have Lavot Eish, this flame of fire, but we're thinking about God, not this flaming fire, but yes, that pain actually can have that godliness in it. And he goes on to say, between that coldness and heresy stands an extremely thin wall. That blazing fire in our hearts, as painful as it is, Rabbi Dov Ber is teaching us that is what we bring into our tefillah, that is what we bring into our Torah study, that is what keeps us alive. And it's, as I was thinking about this idea of the fire, a literal fire, we light candles as we go into Shabbat. That is the symbol of bringing Shabbat in. And I often think about Shabbat as this time to let go of the blazing fire in my heart, to try and separate from all of this madness that it feels like we're living in. And I think that this teaching, and what I'm going to invite all of us, including myself, into, is this idea of lighting our Shabbat candles this week and taking all of the fire in our hearts and pouring it into our tefillah, pouring it into our prayer, pouring it into our study together, and allowing that to ignite and to create the vision of what we want our world to be, that we don't want to go into Shabbat cold. We don't want to live in a cold world, that the pain and this fire is actually that connection and that deep connection that we have to the godliness and that spark of godliness within each of us and within all of humanity, in which we feel has been put out in so many ways. And so as we invite the Shabbat Queen now with Lecha Dodi, as we continue with our Tefillah, ignite that spark. Allow that fire to come in and use it to create this vision of the world that we hope and we pray and that we really deeply believe we can step into together. Shabbat Shalom, and we continue with Lecha Dodi.